This is the South Russell Village Council meeting. Today is September the 8th, 2023. On Thursday, it'll be 9/11. Whenever 9/11 comes around, I think of a person named Kit Farragher. I did not know her. She graduated from West Yaga High School. She died in the towers. Her parents were members of St. John's Church, and every 9/11 they would have a mass in her honor. And that went on for many years. So let's take time to think about the whole 9/11 situation, and hopefully we've improved since then. Okay, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Mr. Officer will take the roll.
Canton.
Here.
Kavanaugh. Here. Tuicki.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Bell.
Here.
Berger.
Here. Before we get into the minutes, if you have not signed in yet, please do so. Prefer that you don't sign, actually, before you print, but that would be nice. All right, we have minutes for the regular council meeting on August the 11th. Any changes or corrections to those minutes?
Move to approve. Second.
Moved by Porter, seconded by Canton. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. We also have minutes of the special council meeting on August 25th. Any changes or corrections to those? Hearing none, we have a motion to approve.
Move.
Second.
Mr. who's the first one?
Kavanaugh.
Oh, Kavanaugh.
Second.
Second was good. All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. All right, we have some visitors. Not to say the most important one, but the most important one tonight. Jonathan Munn is a candidate to be a part-time police officer. Now, when you hire part-time police officers, in fact, when you hire anybody anymore, we have quite a process that we go through. We do the normal, we advertise, we interview, we check the references. Then from here we go, you have to sit in the meeting with me. I will appoint the council with Councilman Bell behind me here as head of the safety committee. He will make a motion to approve that appointment. But before we do that, Chief Rizzo, tell us how we ended up here tonight with this fine candidate.
So John was a former Pepper Pike police sergeant. He left the profession in about September of 2024 to take care of his real estate company that he co-owns. So John had a calling to come back to law enforcement, and he wishes to become a part-time police officer here. So with that, John's got some great experience. He was a field training officer and a supervisor to boot. So I think John would be a good fit for the South Russell Police Department.
When we call the references, of course, your references are going to say good things about you. Then we also expand it and call other people. You know, what do you know about this person? The best person I heard from is a resident from South Russell. I said, tell me about this guy. He said, well, let me tell you, I run a tow truck. And either it's an accident or a DUI or something. Many times at night, emotion level is high. And when I pull up with the tow truck, the people involved, emotion level gets even higher. And he complimented you on your ability to de-escalate situations. That was just one of the many characteristics that I thought we need in a police officer. So, without further ado, I make a, Mr. Bell, can you make
Absolutely.
a motion?
It's my honor to make a motion to appoint Jonathan Munn as a part-time patrolman in South Russell, Ohio. Second.
Second.
Confirm the mayor's appointment. I'd like to make a motion to confirm the mayor's appointment. Jonathan Munn as a part-time patrolman in South Russell, Ohio.
And Bell and Belicki, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, we'll swear him in. You want to stand up next to your dad?
I'm kind of tempted to be in the pictures.
We forgot one of the 9 people that I did talk to. John's school nurse. But this time, this is your chance to comment about him as a high school
He's a
kid.
great kid. Parents were mean like I was, put him in 4-H like I did with David, and those kids always turn out pretty good.
Thank you, Ruth. Okay, raise your right hand, repeat after me. I
I,
state your name,
Jonathan Monk,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and the Constitution of the State of Ohio,
and will faithfully,
and will faithfully,
honestly,
honestly,
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of part-time patrol officer
as part-time patrol officer
in the village of South Russell
in the village of South Russell
in Geauga County, Ohio.
in Geauga County, Ohio.
Congratulations.
We'll get over here. All right.
Thank you.
Mark, did you get a piece of the interview process?
No, I'm sure it's fine. Nice to meet you. Welcome aboard.
Okay.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Welcome, John. Good to see you
Good to see you
again.
again. Congratulations.
Congratulations again.
Hopefully I did good on the paperwork.
I'm sure you're all much.
She'll find it.
Don't hear about that.
Thanks all. Nice.
Jeez, you can't have that.
Second visitor is Misha Alexander. Please give us your name, address, stand for 5 minutes. We'll give you 3 minutes and I'll give you a little 2-minute warning. The floor is yours.
I don't think I'll do more than that. I'm Misha Alexander. I'm at 5266 Chillicothe Road. I'm also a candidate for South Russell Village Council. I wanted to take a few minutes just to stand up here in my support of the Bicycle and Safety Deputy Committee. They were formed some months ago out of concern for the safety and of kids and families of all ages on Bell Road specifically. I've been concerned myself, walking up and down, going for long walks there, about the safety there of people on that road. I know we have quite a substantial amount of grant money available to be able to build a path. There are many cities that are taking advantage of various grant programs in the state of Ohio to build trails. Last year, Pepper Pike was awarded $500,000 to be able to do their trail project. In a prior meeting, Mr. Merriman brought up that it was about 65% support in Pepper Pike for doing that trail. Respondents to the survey from the Bicycle and Safety Pedestrian Committee meeting came in about 67% of responders supporting this. Now, I know that there are a lot of different valid concerns that have been brought up by council members. I know you've all worked very hard to discuss some of the details to get to the spot where we're at now to start, looking at a potential phase 1 of the project. So I'm speaking out today to support to the motion to move forward to at least get the scoping details of what we need to be able to look ahead and go into the next steps of this project, knowing that, there's still a lot of concerns with this project, but we know that there's quite a consensus of a strong desire in the community to be able to build this for safety purposes and just for health and well-being and the ability to get outside and walk and bicycle and not have to be worried about safety. And, it does take time, to get this project done, so from a safety standpoint, I do think it would be beneficial to be able to get where we need to be to be able to move through the next steps and work through some of these details, with committee and with council. So I'm speaking up today in support of that, and I really think it's important to be able to keep moving on this project before there's some kind of accident or tragedy. Thank you.
Thank you. Who else would like to speak to council tonight? John, you're up.
John Diaz, 106 Leeds Lane. Last Friday, I took the opportunity to go down to the park there, and walk up the north side of Bell Road to 306, turn around and walk down the south side of Bell Road to back to the park. And it was very eye-opening to me to get out of the car, rather than driving down the road at 35 miles an hour or less. And always, you should see the number of landscaping trucks that are right. But anyway, being there and physically seeing, so my best estimate of, 60 foot right away, 30 feet from the center line.
Right.
So that's roughly brings you up to about 3 feet of the telephone, of the utility poles. So if you're going down the road by car, if you just look ahead and you see where the utility poles, mentally bring yourself in 3 feet. That's the village right of way. And it's pretty clear, as far as trees and shrubs and things like that. But the grades, the drop off the road for water and so forth, and the number of drains, manhole covers, roadsides, just kind of surprised me when I was walking it rather than driving. So I will encourage you to take that opportunity to see for yourself. Because I think what I'm assuming is the next level, which I'm encouraging, the next step is a more detailed engineering analysis that will reveal or demonstrate to a finer degree. I've heard comments from council members about the cost and so forth, and is this enough? Is this not enough? So I really want to encourage going to the next step so that there can be a more detailed engineering analysis for what's going to be needed. But it really was enlightening to get out there, kind of boots on the ground and see it rather than just kind of go by it. Gives a different perspective. Thanks.
Thank you, John. All right, who's next? Yes, sir. Name and address, please.
Igor Stavnik, 105 Southwood Drive. I wanted to tell a little bit of a story and very much appreciate all the work and all the conversations that have happened between council and Gary for organizing all of this. Having become new residents over the last year or so, we came from an area that was used to more walkability, and we took that for granted. You kind of enjoy being able to walk around, and one of the first traditions that I wanted to partake in with my kids in this area was to take a walk down to the Balloon Glow. So it's not too crazy of a walk, it's fairly straightforward, about 20, 30 minutes, and I remember it was kind of closer to the evening time, so I brought vests, I brought lights, I brought a wagon to contain the kids, so I kind of kept everything under control. And on the way down, until you reach the right area where you can transition to a sidewalk, you have a little bit of wiggle room where you can kind of maybe get out of the way if you see one of these hulking trucks going 45 miles an hour, sometimes 50. But on the other way back, when the lights were dim and there are no street lights or barely any and no sidewalk, you're really having to escape. You can't really go anywhere, and that reality, being that close to that much metal, dissuaded me from ever wanting to partake in that tradition, because I'm not going to be able to go and walk and park there. I'm not going to be able to go and find an opportunity to avoid all the fumes and the noise that come along with it, even the opportunity of not getting hit by a rock, but maybe get kicked out by a bigger truck. So from a safety and security perspective, it was a bittersweet experience because walking at night, I realized that even with all my adorned gear, I'm still in direct danger. And it was by some sheer luck that no vehicle came to strike me and my children that day. But it's very possible. All it takes is one distracted driver to look at their phone, one ping, one tablet, one thing from the screen on their machine. So being able to connect long-standing traditions along with our safety as citizens and residents feels necessary now more than ever to bring all of us together, to bring the accessibility to our park, to our school, to the burgeoning center where we currently stand, the ability for our vendors here to be able to entertain people to come out from these neighborhoods here and drive revenue to go into the city center in many ways goes hand in hand with the security aspect of it. We could be safe to walk through here. And more importantly, we could enrich this area with actual living space. It's not people just driving up and using transiently to do so. And for many generations, people have struggled to get to school here, to get to work from here, to meet here and gather here. And so my perspective is you'll be able to connect the 30-some+% of us that lead sedentary lifestyles, according to the WHO, that are under risk of inactivity, of our heart and cardiovascular diseases and other forms of modern illnesses that directly stem from sedentary lifestyles, allow for us to unlock that. And this first phase of it, I agree with everybody that spoke, is kind of that keystone project that needs to get momentum. This is the first step in a way for us to connect the rest of the village, the deep history, and the people that all live here, just so that we can have the able-bodied and the people who don't have the luxury of being able-bodied to gather, to go to the sports games over here by the schools, to go see their kids. The old and the young can now participate in it together without the fear of getting mashed and mangled just because someone got a text or a notification from TMZ or the next TikTok video that they want to be crazy about. We can't dissuade people from using their phones while they're driving. So let's at least remove the people from the direct danger of being next to these metal honking machines, and then bolster our ability to become the next generation of interconnected people. And I know I'm almost out of time, as a person who has 3 young children. We moved to the school district specifically to be here, right next to Gurney, specifically so that we can walk down one day to go to intermediate school, to the high school, and then my kids could ride down bikes, and that we could spend the next 20 years being more active than we otherwise statistically would be, both from a security perspective and from a health perspective as well. So please, council, please, residents, as long as we can manage it, we should absolutely make this phase 1 project go, because the momentum and the resources that will come from that and the happiness from the people is going to be monumental. Thank you so much for your attention. I really hope this makes sense through.
Thank you. What else would like? Carrie, do you want to go last?
Whatever you want.
All right, sir, we'll have you go next.
All right. I was not planning on speaking, but I will.
Okay, name and address.
Anthony Advancek, 160 Lakeview Lane. Some of you may have seen me and my family riding up and down Bell. I had the big yellow bike with 2 kids sitting on the back. Anybody seen us before? All right. So I put 1,500 miles this summer alone going up and down Bell. For me, it's safe. For me, it's safe. But I do think about the kids and I think about accessibility. So I do think it would be really great to have a trail system. Totally in favor of that. For me personally, self-serving, at very least a crosswalk at this light. So these are, I think, sensors. So weighted vehicles will sensor the lights. I can't tell you how many light cycles I've sat there on my cargo bike waiting for the light to change. And finally I just say, F it, I'll take a right on 306 with my kids. Yep, right on 306 with my kids, cut over, take a left and come all the way back. But at least some sort of crosswalk would serve really well here, especially when we have the farmer's market. We've got these restaurants right across the way. I think it'd be really great just to get the ball rolling. So that's what I say, but thank you.
Thank you.
Can we ask a question? Really, for the other people who spoke, are y'all in favor of a bike path or just a pedestrian path?
I think at the bare minimum, a pedestrian path would be great for all the reasons that were shared. Like It's great for the community. It's great for interactions with the community. It builds a sense of community. I think for health, it gets people out of their house and moving. I also think it for safety, gets people off of the roadway, gets more people out. And then lastly, I think one of the biggest benefits that maybe is the selling point for some of our naysayers that don't get the idea, there's a really great book out there called The Blue Zone. It talks about this. It'll add value to your property and your home. And talk to any other community out there, you will see a dramatic increase in the value of your home. So if you're someone that doesn't want to pay taxes for this or support it, if you care about the value of your home and the resale value in it, I'd say do it for that reason.
Thank you.
Can we hear from the other people who spoke on this particular question?
Oh, okay.
I think John.
Since it was asked, I honor the question and give an answer. Pedestrian path at a minimum. And if a bike path is possible within finances and engineering and everything else, that's great. But I really think it's about getting kids off the road, and joggers and walkers would be a great first step.
I guess I have a question, and I'll give
Well, one
Mike,
at a
give
time.
your name on that, if it's okay.
I agree with
I'm
that. I agree with that. I think the biggest priority is safety right now, and we have the resources and the grant money to accomplish this. So I really would urge council to approve a motion today to at least get the scoping done so we can look at the next steps of engineering and see what this would look like. So, yeah, I think at least to get a pedestrian path would make it a lot safer. And I agree that a crosswalk here on 306 and at least that and across from the elementary school, I think would be also paramount to increasing safety.
Sir?
Yeah, I would say that I agree holistically that the pedestrian path would take advantage, solves a lot of the problems. My only concern though is if we only settle for that, we'll be potentially leaving some of the disabled folks out and unable to use it. I think a bike path would provide a little bit more ability for them to traverse it and use it, fewer bumps, fewer opportunities to get stuck, and people with strollers and such might have an easier time with the bike path. But again, I agree with everyone that the very minimum pedestrian path would keep everybody safe and secure.
Mike Malloy, you get the floor now.
Thank you. So Mike Malloy, I live at 991 Bell Road, so right across the street from South Russell Park. And I guess I was here really to listen. I wanted to hear what was involved in this process. I've been following, I don't want to discourage anyone from proposing, improvements to the village. I just want to better understand exactly what the specifics of the proposed plan is. And as much as I've tried to follow through emails and updates, it's still really unclear to me. So I raised my hand to your question is what is the official distinction between a pedestrian path and a bike path?
Largely money and space.
And the width.
And the width.
Okay, so I've seen 5 feet is a proposed path, that is a pedestrian path, whereas a bike path. Okay.
Bike path, I think, is 11 foot wide by federal guidelines or something.
I think it's 8 minimum, and I think the guidelines is 10, but if you can prove that you can't do it, I think 8 foot is the absolute minimum for a bike path.
For multi-use path.
For multi-use path, correct.
So are you in favor of a bike path in front of your house?
No, I'm not.
It increased value though.
What about pedestrian?
I'm sorry?
What about pedestrian?
Not in front of my house.
But across the street.
I wouldn't oppose it across the street. I would, like any project in the village, I would like to better understand exactly what the cost is and who's going to pay for it, who's going to maintain it. And again, I'm not trying to discourage anything. I think it's a great idea, but I think right now it seems like a rush to do something because there's available dollars. I don't know, I just would like to, as a resident, I would like to better understand exactly what's being proposed and what is the long-term implication or responsibility of the village and the residents.
Mike, how do your neighbors feel on the north side of the street there? Do they share your concerns?
I mean, from the conversations I've had, yes. My neighbor Chris is here, so I'm not gonna steal his thunder, I'll let him speak if he wants to, but, yeah, I think we own the property, the village owns the property across the street, and it seems like a much more viable option, and me personally, I mean, I've spoken to my neighbors, they obviously couldn't be here or not here, but, the general sentiment, yes, why would we, put this path in our front yard?
If I may. You mentioned that you're here because you need more information.
Yes.
I believe, in my opinion, council needs more information also. A friend of mine is a businessman, and from time to time, we have discussions between business versus government. And he said, you know, Jerry, when you want to do something in South Russell, you have to go to your solicitor and ask if you can do it. Me, on the other hand, I go to my lawyer and I say, find a way to do it and get it done. And I think that's why we're all here. We need more information, more questions, really think this out, you know. We're not the federal government. We think things out here. And we want to make the right decision for everybody.
I appreciate that, and I guess my last question is, I don't understand the whole process, so if you make a motion to approve a scoping agreement or however it's been referred to, that is, I guess, what it's increasing, it's releasing more dollars to more in-depth study.
No, we don't, it's a $800,000 grant, so we have to pay 20%, so theoretically it could be $1 million. But we get money when it's done. We pay it all up front. What we've done is talked, you've been around this survey and you know the thoughts. We've come up with different ideas. What we do now, our next step is the scoping, to really pinpoint it and say, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what we think we'll do. And that's what, we should probably get that done by Christmas at the latest.
But I think
Then you
what-
get in the whole process of getting it approved. I
just want to make sure that we have an opportunity, like, we'll continue to have an opportunity to get feedback or weigh in. I just want to be here, to make sure that things don't just move forward without our.
No, I think when Carrie and I met with you back in May, it's a no-brainer. You have the park, you have all the land you want. Why would we put it where the kid or anyone's got to dodge 6 driveways?
Yeah.
So it fits ideally there. I'm happy to see you guys here, but I don't think you need to really worry about that, I guess, from my opinion. And if it were, for some reason, we're going to put it in your front yards, we will do what we did with the other people. We'll send you a letter and we knock on their doors on a Saturday morning and say, hey, we're here to talk about a path that's going to go in your front yard. So, you're not going to, read the Spring Valley Times some Thursday and say.
I appreciate that.
Okay.
And I don't want to discourage, I know that, I'm sure this is taking a tremendous amount of time, and I think that's really commendable. I don't want to discourage what people are looking for, but I appreciate all of your opportunity, all of your time. Thank you.
I want to clarify something. So what he asked was, whatever we do tonight is just for the scoping. It's not, yes, it goes forward totally. It's just for
It's provide more detail. What's
I have one more question. When does this ever get to the planning commission and zoning and architecture?
after another vote.
Does it need to go to the planning commission?
I don't know, it might.
Does it go?
I don't know, it might.
I mean, this is all well and good, but we could pass it, and they might say, right?
It could.
Yeah.
Okay, did you have something you were going to
That's
say,
it.
Ruth?
Chris Castro.
All right. Sir, name and address, please.
First, let's go to 995 Bell. You start living next to a lawyer. Yeah, my concern about coming through our yards versus the other side, and for anybody that you don't live in our section here particularly,
But across the street, he has just did such a nice job of uplighting those trees that are out there. Well, the other gentleman said how dark it is. Over on our side, there's shade trees and all kinds of other things, and at night, when it's 5:30 in November, you know, we change times, that path can, I believe, can even go further than, or your right of way is a lot bigger, it can go right past all those uplit trees for safety. I mean, it only makes sense to me that the path should go on that side where somebody's utilizing it, they're able to see. Because it gets pretty dark out there when you don't have streetlights unless you live at an intersection. So I'm just all for it. Yes, Mike, I'm still with you on this one. Yes, I think keeping us the information is so important. Keep this up.
I think the thing also to realize, we got a nice big ditch on our side. To me, that's the safety barrier. You're gonna have the road, you got a ditch, then you can put your path in. To put it on your side, it's not even.
Oh, yeah, we don't have the ditch over there? Try to, think about riding along.
I'm sure you're I mean, we got a good ditch on the south side, yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, Ruth, did you get finished with what you
Yes.
wanted to say? Okay. Anybody else?
You know, the one thing that I would like to invite everyone's attention to is that one of the early proposals that was provided to council was basically incorporating a path which, part of the path was crossing Bell Road 2 to 3 times. You know, that was part of the path, from north to south to north, or south to north to south again. But, you know, there was a concern that was raised in subsequent meetings about incorporating a path which has crosswalks crossing a thoroughfare. It's not great for the kids. It's not really safe. The police chief expressed some serious concerns about that. So one of the things that we'd like to consider is pick a side, north or south, and have one continuous path on one side of the road. Because you're talking about changing 2 or 3 times crossing a street in less than a mile. Doesn't make sense. Not safe, you know. So, you know, I think there's good debate on north or south side. People's driveways are gonna be affected no matter what side of the street it is, you know. And I don't know if we'll ever come to a resolution where these residents say it's quite all right to have the path in my front yard, and others say no. But these are the issues as we go through scoping. We do have to consider, you know, what are the interfaces that John Buda talked about that'll have to be moved? What's that impact? What's that cost? And, you know, to Jerry's point, I think we're trying to get an idea from the council's perspective on what those uncaptured costs will be. I know our 2 engineers, one thinks there's a big issue with potential impact on stormwater. The other engineer doesn't necessarily think there's a big impact. So even among the engineers, we have back and forth concerns. But what we'd all, I think, collectively like is a path that makes sense. You know, no one opposes the idea of a path on council, but, you know, it's having a well thought out plan that we can get somebody's signature on from ODOT or NWACA that says, we approve this, because all of us would hate to be put in a situation where we go forward with a construction project and at the last minute when we're looking for payback, we find out that, but you didn't follow our guidelines, so unfortunately you're not eligible for any reimbursement of funds. That'd be a bad place to be. That would not be indicative of a council that paid attention to the fiscal responsibility that they have to the citizens. So there are a lot of questions I think we have to ask and a lot of things going forward here. You know?
If I may, I have a question for the engineers. Sir, blacktop. Okay. Westwoods, I understand, they have paths and they lay some type of a mesh down. Okay. Where water can go through it, but weeds cannot grow through it.
Okay.
Well, this is what I'm told. Okay. And then they probably must have some type of dirt, ground up stone or whatever, and they pound it down. Your opinion, that compared to blacktop?
So you're talking an aggregate, like a stone aggregate surface
But
trail?
I guess it's pretty well beaten down, so.
Right, like the towpath trail, like the Cuyahoga Valley National, whatever. They've got the towpath trail, it's a multi-purpose trail, it's for walking and biking, and that is like a limestone screenings and limestone pea gravel surface, and yeah, it's for the most part, it's pretty darn hard. With surfaces like that, you typically run into issues in the late fall and early spring when the subgrade, the dirt underneath the path is soft. So if you were to drive something like a pickup truck back there, or something that you'd need to like maintain a section of the trail, you can get some running there because the soil underneath that path needs to be dry and supportive enough. So typically in the shoulder seasons, you could experience areas where that beat down pretty darn hard stone surface becomes maybe not quite so hard. With a hard surface, well, with a hard surface trail, an impervious surface trail, asphalt or concrete surface, that does a better job of sealing out the water from seeping down and impregnating down into the dirt underneath. And it gives you a more stable year-round surface, I guess.
Your opinion of long-term maintenance? Versus the stone?
Both have their pluses and minuses. With the stone path, you're probably going to need to scrape it and grade it out and maybe add aggregate a little more often. I think we've ruled out a concrete path just from a cost perspective. So I think you're focusing, correct me if I'm wrong, you're focusing more on a stone surface, compacted stone surface versus an asphalt surface, correct? Okay, so with a stone surface, like I said, it's gonna be a little more frequent maintenance, but a little bit less costly, because you're just gonna be running a scraper blade down and adding aggregate as needed. With an asphalt surface, it's gonna be almost no maintenance for the first several years, give it 10, for
And
instance.
the responsibility of the village to maintain it.
Yes.
Yes, in communities, it depends, community to community, but I think the prevailing model for like a 5-foot concrete sidewalk, like in a city, I know my house, I have a 5-foot concrete sidewalk in front of my house, and I didn't have to pay to put it in. But if the city deems that, each block, relative to the other has shifted, like they'll spray paint that red and say, you got 90 days to get this fixed. If a block of that sidewalk, completely shatters and cracks apart for some reason, then they'll redline that, and it's on me to get that fixed. It really depends on how South Russell wants to set up the rules. We don't have sidewalks that we're maintaining. We don't have any. So it's up to, and will this be a sidewalk, or will this be treated as something different than a sidewalk?
On the surface type, I thought I read in one of the communications for ADA reasons, we needed to have a solid surface.
For ADA reasons, the stone path doesn't cut it.
And I imagine with the grant, we probably have be within ADA specs.
Generally, yes, but you can always make an appeal and be subject to a yes or no answer.
With the aggregate, there's more likely you could get a washout. If a huge storm comes through, you could get a washout with that as well.
Especially in the hills.
Yeah, right.
And I also imagine that from time to time, periodically, we'd be faced with replenishing that aggregate as well.
Correct, which like I said, is probably more frequent maintenance, but less costly. Once that asphalt path has deteriorated enough that it's a concern, well, then you're looking at a repaving of the whole thing, which is not a small nut. So it's the asphalt surface will give you less frequent need of maintenance, but it's more costly when it does.
Well, and, an excellent example is Kensington Green. They have a path through their green area.
Correct.
They
correct.
placed that in 1985, and just in 2025, they had to resurface. Now, could we gotten a couple of more years out of that? Probably so, but still, you're talking about 40 years,
Right.
of service life.
Which is about double of what an asphalt road service life typically is. We typically look at around 20 years.
Because the traffic isn't as
Right.
weedy.
Right, and salt is one, but you're also, in Kensington, you guys, for the most part, are pretty nicely drained in that center, the watersheds on that path. We certainly will encounter areas if we put an asphalt path along Bell where maybe we got sections that aren't quite so readily and easily drained, and we'll hold some water along the edge, and that really has a deleterious effect on the asphalt. So you could vary, and I'm sure it's very much akin to what you've got in Kensington, where a lot of this looks pretty good, but man, there's some really ratty looking sections. So you have to make the overall determination of, are we gonna fix just pieces, or are we gonna pave the whole thing? We're in uncharted territory as far as we don't have a current maintenance schedule for an asphalt path as a village, that we're, standards that we're looking to uphold and maintenance schedule that we're looking to adhere to, because we don't have one yet. So we're gonna need to think about that. Like if we choose to put an asphalt path down, how bad does it need to get before we repave it? And do we?
It's all way down the road.
It is, it 100% is, but these are things that council needs to kind of start thinking about how you're gonna get your arms around.
Sure, but right now, we're talking about 5-foot path or wider path, depending on how we characterize it, whether it's pedestrian only or a bike path that has other capabilities. Can we fit an 11-foot, 9-foot, 8-foot, 6-foot, what can we fit?
What fits?
Which side of the road does it go on? Both sides? So the kids cross at Spring, down the Park side, then they cross at Elderwood, then they go up the hill to Gurney. And then repeat the process all the way back after school. So does it make more sense to have something on the south side completely with the crossings we've talked about, but the kids will mostly live on the other side?
Right?
Councilman Bell.
So we look forward to having Carrie share what the committee talked about on Friday. There's a lot of good information coming from there. We had a really nice discussion about a lot of these issues from a safety standpoint with the path is. Before we do that, I just want to clarify with the engineers, my interpretation of what the next step would be. Right now, we have a non-construction layout, right? We couldn't go to construction, it's just a basic, general 10,000 foot idea.
We have a schematic.
Okay, schematic. Next step would be, if we were to move forward, we all agree upon, yes, we want a path on this side of the road from 306 to Spring, wherever the heck we're going. From that point on, we would be able to then fill out the paperwork with no act as part of our agreement.
Correct. I want to get, once we have our align, once the village has its ideal path alignment, like how is this gonna look from 10,000 feet up? Once we have that pretty well cemented, I would rather go to NOACA much sooner than later, even if it is just a red line drawing to say, okay, committees have met, council has met, public has been invited to give their opinions on everything. Here's kind of what we've settled on as a best fit for our village, utilizing the funding you've got available for us.
That's so they see, okay, this is your generalized idea. Move forward to the next step.
Right.
Next
They
step.
give us some feedback, hopefully, because any bit of feedback we get from the funding agencies is always helpful early.
Next step would be developing an engineering plan where we look at the finite details.
Right,
like
but
the
then
costs,
we send a survey crew out and we get cross sections and figure
Guys,
out.
one at a time, okay?
Yeah.
Just so everybody out there can hear it.
So it would be a more finite, detailed plan that your firm would put together. At that point, council will review, look at the estimates and decide to move forward to the next step, which NOAC would have to also be a part of, right? As part of the grant.
ODNR too.
Who-
ODOT.
NODOT as well, as part of the process. From that point, if everybody's simpatico, we then go, if we agree, we go to bid. Once we go to bid, we get the bids back, we have to accept the bid, and then move forward. So if we were agree upon a generalized 10,000 foot view tonight, next council meeting, whatever, the next step moving forward is not costing anybody any money. We're not spending money yet.
Whatever small hourly cost you've got for engineering to just engage with both
So we
sides.
can't get to the finite details until we move on to the next step. So we're kind of stuck in an impasse until we come to the generalized agree upon the 10,000 foot view.
Yep,
Thank
you are correct.
Thank you. I would love to have Carrie.
And that being said, before we get to the finite details, as far as the crossings go, I will be a big fat no if they cross on the side of the cemetery. I don't want that cemetery touched. I don't want a path there. That's a big no for me. It's too close. And in 1830-something, when Stephen Losey was buried there, they didn't think about traffic and sidewalks and whatnot. So I know, Chief, you don't want the crossings, and I get it.
You want a crosswalk?
I don't want the path on the side of the cemetery, period.
So you
And that's-
don't want it on the south side at all?
No, I didn't say that. I just don't want it there. Then you have a lot less people to impact if you start on the north side and cross at Alderwood, cross at the park.
Okay. Next, if you don't know it yet, Carrie Schloss has been the co-chair of this committee since the beginning. Before she speaks, however, we are going to have, and I forgot your name.
Oh, Liz.
Liz, please, Liz, name and address and your comment.
1175 Shearbrook. I'll keep this brief because everyone's talked this to death. I've done about 1,500 miles uphill, but I probably have more than any other runner. And I'm in your front yard all the time, dodging traffic. My apologies. I had carried all the logistical discussions and about what this project will entail, which I understand is a lot of work for everyone here. I think the main thing in favor of considering a bike path over a pedestrian path at this point is that if we change our mind, they then have to do this all again for a bike path. Which would be, oh, do we want to broaden it? It's like, we could go with a pedestrian path that's narrower and end up regretting it, and then have to do this whole process again to widen it further. So that would be cost sunk and additional procedural requirements and so on. So maybe we get the pedestrian path that's not as exactly as we wanted it, so. Just my thought.
Right.
It could be more efficient from a process standpoint to.
Yeah, we're beginning to get the feeling of spinning wheels now. We're moving and now we're spinning. Carrie Schloss, the floor is yours.
Okay. I'm Carrie Schloss, 290 Hickory Hill Road. And I am hopefully going to bring some answers to a lot of the questions that you all have, just ask for more information. We had a great session, a joint working session with you all. We raised a lot of concerns. We took note of those concerns and we've been working on finding answers for those questions and concerns. And so that's what I want to bring forward today, are addressing some of those concerns. First, I want to clarify what our schematic idea is that we're putting forward based on what we've heard. We are recommending right now we're recommending a pedestrian path on Bell between Spring Drive and 306. We are recommending a 5-foot asphalt path, which is a pedestrian path to stay on a single side. We're recommending crossing at Spring Drive, crossing at Gurney, and crossings at 306 and Bell, so that whole intersection. The crossings would not, our recommendation right now is that our crossings would not be a part of the path, they would be access to the path. And that the path would remain on a single side because, as we heard, we do have a lot of use already on the street. We agree that there might be more use of this when it's built. And so not making the crossings a part of the trail, but making them access to the trail. So that's what our proposal is. So a couple of the questions, safety concerns. This concern, the segment had 3 proposed crossings of Bell instead of staying on one side. Okay, the way that we're addressing that is the new proposal is to stay on one side, can keep the crossings are for access.
Gary, you're talking about the north side or the south side of Bell?
So, our proposal is a little vague right now. It is a single side because it depends upon some of the more detailed engineering. I think we are leaning towards the south side, because we have spoken with residents who have shown us that it would, you have this public property, it makes sense to be on that side. It's a great use of the park, it brings people to the park, through the park, and that trail can be used as a trail in the park that can connect in later with the trail system. We really like that idea. We didn't know if we could get past the cemetery. In recent conversations, we think that we can. In a more detailed view, potentially it will show us there's, a problem, and then we'll have to reconsider. But right now, so that's why we're trying to not get stuck until we get further in the process. But we've asked to look at the south side as a primary option. Is 5 foot wide enough? That was a question that you all asked, because that would be a pedestrian only path. We found out that 5 foot path would be an acceptable project for NOACA funds. So that's not a problem. It doesn't have to be a multi-use path. This grant can cover a pedestrian path. It would be designated as a pedestrian path. The benefit of it would be that construction costs would be less, so we can go further. And it would fit largely, depending on, in the schematic, it fits within the right of way, the 5 feet. So we wouldn't necessarily have to get easements. We may still need to get construction easements, and I know that was also a question, and we'll get to that. We did look into laws, Ohio laws and South Russell ordinances that specify whether or not bikes can use pedestrian paths. So it would be designed as a pedestrian facility, but under state law, people are allowed to ride bicycles and e-bikes if the motor is not engaged on a sidewalk, which is a pedestrian facility. And this would be the width of or wider than a sidewalk. Many local jurisdictions only allow people under a certain age to ride on the sidewalk. No jurisdiction can require bikes to be ridden on the sidewalk. Looking at South Russell ordinances, and I think you were potentially doing more research into this, or already have, but this is our committee's research, so to be verified by the solicitor. But in South Russell ordinance appears that a person operating a bicycle shall ride upon the sidewalk rather than the roadway when sidewalks are available, except that no person shall ride a bicycle on the sidewalk along which signs have been erected by authority of council or other duly designated local authority prohibiting such bicycle riding. At no time shall a person under the age of 11 years operate a bicycle on the street. So there's no state law prohibiting bicycles. Currently, there's no South Russell ordinance that we found prohibiting bicycles, except actually it seems to be allowing it unless signage is put up. So therefore, for all those reasons, we do think a 5 foot path would be feasible to implement because it's within the right of way, because of the cost, a lower cost, and that we do think it will meet the needs of the community, which a lot of what we heard in all of those comments, that we got 60 comments, people asking for this, a lot of that was actually pedestrian use, walking places, not necessarily always on bikes, but bikes could also potentially use this. ADA accessibility was the next question. What are the requirements and how much additional cost it would be? We found out from Verdantis that the general rule is that the walk follows the grade of existing road, so we wouldn't necessarily need additional infrastructure. So there would still need to be the general, like the entries onto the path for ADA, but that could follow the grade that the road follows. So it wouldn't necessarily be additional cost. There was concern that the phase 1 plan was not detailed enough to make this decision. we found out that, you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, that this is the correct place to be, at this correct level of detail to start moving forward. I know there's concern that we'll get too far into this process and NOACA won't fund it. That's not how this process works. We're asking today to fill out scoping documents so NOACA can start reviewing and engaging with us on this project. So they'll be involved the whole way. There'll be no point where they're gonna approve it the entire way through. So what we're asking is, at the schematic level, can we just get it programmed with NOACA by filling out these scoping documents so we can have a conversation about what this project needs and doesn't meet their needs? What is the need for construction easements and costs, and how will this expand the cost of the work? So Verdantis is here today. They can talk a little bit about the construction easements. They did put together a maximum cost estimate of if we had to have 7-foot construction easements for the entire length, and they can talk about that. I keep hearing that we have this money and we're trying to find ways to spend it. And I just want to clarify that that's not how this came about. Our committee unofficially has been meeting for almost 2 years. We are concerned citizens who want to enhance the safety of our community. We are all walkers or bike riders or people who want to access the schools, the parks, other parts of our community. And we did a survey. We found out that this is actually a general consensus. We had high response rate, over 25%. Of people who answered questions, I know we keep talking about 67%, but of the people who, not everyone answered questions. But if you look at the number of people who answered questions, very supportive or supportive, compared to the number who said unsupportive or opposed, it's between 85 and 89% for each segment that are very supportive or supportive. If you just look at that subset, some people said don't know, or didn't answer, or were neutral. So it's very high support. So I just want to say that we're not trying to find ways to spend money. We're identifying a need that this community has. It's been a big groundswell movement. There's over 70 people on our communication list for this committee who are interested in this work. And lucky for us, we found out that the village has money, that they've had money since 2023. This project was meant to be, the funds were meant to be dispersed this year. And we're just asking for you to take the first step so we don't lose this funding. These grants are getting harder to come by. They used to be given out quarterly, now it's every 2 years. And if we don't take advantage of this, we're unlikely to get this kind of grant in the future because we won't have used the grant that we had in our hands. So I just want to encourage you, we also, one more piece of information is that Verdantis also prepared a timeline to answer some of these questions about what are the steps needed to move this through the NOACA process and what happens first, second, and third. So I don't know if everyone, okay, you have it. So that's great. We can look at that and we can answer questions about that. But I encourage you just to take the first step, just to allow Verdantis to fill out the scoping forms and to get us in the programming with NOACA. I don't think it commits us to anything other than taking the next step, moving this conversation forward. Thanks.
Thank you. Questions of Gary?
Yeah. Can you confirm that the NOACA grant application from 2023 specified an 8-foot wide path?
I can't confirm if that was specified, but we do have an email from the planner at NOACA who says that a 5-foot pedestrian path would be an appropriate project for these funds. And it would just need to be changed in the draft scoping documents that were given to the village in February. It's just one sentence.
Where is that email?
We sent it to you a couple of weeks ago. We sent emails from Mr. Allen and Mr. Shuck, both of them talking about ODOT saying that 5 foot is acceptable. You got copies of them? Wow. Okay, we're approaching 8:00. Any other questions or comments? At this time, you're all welcome to stay. If you have things you need to do or go on about your business, that's fine. I can say behind you is copies of the survey that went out in the fall of 2024. The results of those surveys are also included. The other thing that's really nice to see is the compilation of all the comments from people. And there's the people that were happy, and I think there are 14 negative comments. I think 12 of the 14 don't spend any money. There's also a map of the village, which I don't know if you could use, and there was also a proposed timeline that just came from me. Basically, I would encourage you carefully, take your tape measure some Saturday morning, run it out to the middle of Bell Road. You'll find that Bell Road is 11 feet wide. There's, in certain cases, there's 40 inches or 4 feet of a shoulder. And you're going to have then approximately 15 feet from that shoulder, the last piece of asphalt, to basically the telephone poles. So that gives you 15 feet. So in an ideal path, you could have your shoulder against the telephone pole, you have 5 feet of asphalt, and you're going to have 10 feet of green space. Hopefully, in my opinion, I don't know if we can, that's going to be a ditch, because ideally, you're going to have some drainage, and a ditch is a perfect safety thing for that person who runs off the side of the road. As for going down in front of the cemetery, if you measure from the cemetery, again, the road is 11 feet wide, there's a 4 feet shoulder, there is a 4-inch curb. It is from the curb to the first step, the very bottom of the steps is 59 inches. So theoretically, you could squeeze a 5-foot path. The problem with that is, in my opinion, now if you're on that path, your shoulder is right near the cars. Which, maybe there's some way to wiggle or do something. We do have 4 feet of what we call the bike path 11 years ago, but there is room down there. From the edge of the road, again, the road's only 11 feet, you have 19 feet of space. So I encourage you to carefully take a look. Last thing I want to say is if somebody is out there in the land, I will be here tomorrow at 9 o'clock. If anybody could not be here tonight, if anybody did not want to speak in public, I'll be here tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock if you have any questions about anything. Unless there's somebody else that has anything to say, I'm looking for a motion.
I do, if I may. May
Please.
This is the council. Does council feel we have enough information to go forward, or should this be tabled?
I guess one question I have, Jerry, is, and I'm still unclear from what I've heard today, is could we go forward with a more granularity in a study without going to NOACA or ODOT, or do we need their participation at this stage of planning?
We probably shouldn't. We should get NOACA and ODOT engaged early.
And what would their engagement entail? Would they assist in design or what?
No, it just gets it on it gets it on their planning and meeting schedule that, hey, we're gonna be talking about this South Russell path. And we're gonna be putting myself in their shoes, we NOACA are gonna be working toward when are we gonna be dispersing this fund that we have set aside.
But it's not gonna affect, they're not gonna go, if we submit no new paperwork, it's not gonna affect the grant, that money that we have in hand.
No.
Okay. It's not like we're just submitting.
It just it puts NOACA and ODOT on notice that we have determined that A, we want to do this, and B, we think it's gonna look something like this. And like I said, I really am eager and welcome any feedback I get from the NOACA agencies.
Your last statement about, we think it's gonna look something like this.
Right.
In your opinion, do we feel we have that information right now? Or is that what Jerry's talking about, where we still don't know what side of the road it's gonna be on, we still don't know if it's flip-flopping?
I will take that information directly from your committee that's working on this. Like, is it gonna be on the south side? Is it gonna be on the north side? To get NOACA engaged, we have to give them something. I just need a map with a red line on it that says, here's what we want. Now, as we get NOACA engaged, and we start spending actual real money on engineering, the next phase is, okay, let's get survey and let's get everything located, and what's that gonna mean for us? Like, how exactly is this going to fit? Well, here's the cross section of the road, here's the cross section of the path. Here's where all of our obstacles, we'll call them, poles, signs, ditches, what can be moved, what can't be moved. Are we gonna need piping under some of the to enclose some ditches because we're too dangerously close? We won't know that until we get survey out there and actually get it's called a TIM built. It's like a 3-dimensional like model that we can really with confidence say that, okay, we don't have anything to worry about through here. Here are some tight spots. Here are some areas where we're going to have, a little more difficulty, maybe some more expense. We're going to survey both sides of the road. I mean, so if it turns out that we really want to put it all on the south side of the road, but there's some really good reasons, maybe alignment-wise, why it shouldn't or can't go there. Well, then we're gonna look at the other side. We'll have survey information for all of it. For right now, I mean, all we need to engage with NOACA is a map with a line on it that says, here is our preliminary alignment, and this is the scope of what we're looking to do. That scope can absolutely change once we have more information.
Like we could shorten the length.
Correct.
Maple Spring and 306, take that out.
If we need to,
Move it to the north side.
And you may not know this, Eric, but are any of these costs in the engineering work that you just described, are those going to be able to be reimbursed through the NOACA grant? Or are those all borne by the village?
I don't know that yet. And that's a great first or second question when we engage them with scoping documents.
So right now, you're talking about a path primarily on the southern side of Bell Road, from Spring all the way up to
306.
306, right? Okay, and that's the map you're talking about. Okay, so anyone who accesses that path from the north side will use presumably a crosswalk, right?
So we're proposing 3 additional crosswalks, right? Spring, there's already one Alderwood, Gurney, and then 306.
Understood. Okay, so that's what's on the table here right now.
It's a 4-way crosswalk at 306 in Bell, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would hope so.
I just want to clarify for the.
Just one thing. I jog up and down Bell Road, so I see sanitary lines, I see stormwater lines. It gets tight, especially around the cemetery area. We don't want to disturb any graves or anything like that, okay? But as far as, this is a preliminary step, and it puts us on NOACA's radar.
Correct.
I have concerns that 5 feet is not enough, because we've been talking about a bike path forever in this village. Now we're just talking about pedestrian paths that might be used, or be okay to be used, by biking people. And Dennis brought up the e-bikes not too long ago, and the chief did too. 35-mile-an-hour e-bikes on a 5-foot path. Doesn't sound like a good idea to me, but we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Yeah, the research we did, the class 3 e-bikes would not be permitted on it, so class 1 and 2 would be permitted on. I was incorrect on the speed, it's 28 miles an hour in class 3. So, yeah, class 3 would be restricted from that.
And most disengaged.
and or is disengaged.
But I don't wanna get hit by a 28-mile-an-hour bicycle any more than a 35-mile-an-hour bicycle like anybody else. But the point is that we talked about a bike path for years. Now we're talking about a pedestrian path. So I'm fine with going forward with this preliminary, but if possible, and maybe the engineers will be able to figure this out in detail down the road, if it could be wider, would it not be better?
Okay, Councilman Canton, and then let's wrap this up for a motion.
Let's go for a vote.
Okay?
Sure. If you don't mind, I'd like to make a motion to have the mayor and Verdantis move forward with filling out necessary scoping documentation associated with a NOACA grant for a 5-foot wide pedestrian pathway from State Route 306 to Spring Drive with crosswalks at Greening School and Spring Drive and additional crosswalks at the intersection of Bell and State Route 306.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion passes. Thank you all for being here.
Feel free to stay.
All right. What's next? So this one next.
Yeah, you need to decide.
So I stopped in front of it yesterday, there was no traffic. And those grades are close to the road. And there isn't necessarily stones left. There's room for them. They're precious close.
I didn't see you in the back.
I was trying to find that stupid email. Because it's not
Okay, we are back in session here. The mayor's report. Been a lot of activity since our last meeting, which was on August 11th. First thing coming around is a picture of a bat house. The way these things operate, there's a little opening in the bottom, enclosed on 3 sides. The bats crawl up inside this bat house. This is Warren Stevens from Solon. That was his Eagle Scout project. He built 4 of them for us.
Who's the old guy?
It looks like a grandpa, you know? Okay, on August 13th, 6 municipalities that hired the Spring Valley Fire Department. We met to hear their offers as to why they needed a 12% or an 18% for some ambulance billing going in and out. We heard different offers for 4 years at 9%, 3 years at 9%. And the 6 municipalities decided that the 12% increase every year, 12, was acceptable pending council's approval. On September 18th, this proposal will be discussed at the safety committee and hopefully be back here on September 22nd. If you have questions, I encourage you all to go Thursday night at 6 o'clock to the open house, the grand opening of the Spring Falls Fire Department. I would encourage you also to look up a gentleman named John Finley. He is the Glidden Falls Township trustee. He did hours of research. He's an actuary, and this was his baby, and he went through it and decided his recommendation was 9%, but he was the first one to agree to 12%. So the open house is Thursday from 6 to 7. On August 25th, we had the ice cream bike ride. We went from the park to the new crosswalk, which we didn't find, but you saw a lot of issues with the use of the crosswalk. And to the end of Alderwood Drive and then back to the park, we did it without any collisions or any blood. Chief, I was coming down Bell the other day. Grandma and grandpa and 2 kids walked up, pressed the button, and stepped out. The light hadn't even gone on yet, and they stepped right out. On August 27th, we gathered everyone involved in the establishment of the cemetery to celebrate its 10th, I guess you call it a birthday. Committee member Patty Mills, she had her husband's ashes on the mantle for many years. Cindy Nairn commented about it took 7 years to get the cemetery established. And Ed Powell mentioned how he had a 3-foot pile of paper before we finally got the cemetery open. It was great. It was just a nice thing. I want to comment to the Spring Valley Times. They're watching out there. They had a good article about the cemetery meeting. They had pictures of Patty Mills and her son, and then they had pictures of Matt with the original committee. It was a very nice article in the Spring Valley Times. And also they did a nice article on the PATH project. To both of those reporters, it was informative, but the other thing was it was accurate. I got a compliment to the Geauga County Engineer's Office for their fast service in repairing the shoulder on the north side of Bell Road over what's called Silsby Creek. Silsby Creek is basically that, what we call a wetlands. It's not a wetlands, but all that water on the north side of Bell, it goes under Bell into Southwick. That's Silsby Creek.
Can I interject? That's because the Silsby's own all that land from 1075 Bell all the way down to Spring. That was their farm.
Yeah, I was surprised to see the name. Even the engineering guys.
Ray Silsby. Earl Silsby was our first, but they didn't call him chief constable.
Marshall.
Okay.
While we were there, we talked about saying, hey, why are you fixing the shoulder? We talked about the possible boardwalk. Was going to go right on the other side of the crosswalk, or the
creek
guardrail. And they recommended put in an extra section of culvert under Bell into the wetlands, we'll call it. Then you just simply put your boardwalk right across the top of it. It was a very nice idea. We didn't get into who should pay for it. I want to do a plug to Carmela Shale of Geauga Soil and Water. We've had an issue, kind of a pleasant or unpleasant issue, with the woods of Wembley and the Schrin Lakes residents who live on the south side of Sherbrooke. It's going on for a while. The neighborhoods are separated with the old interurban line. And I don't know if the woods of Wembley didn't know it when they were built, but they did not incorporate the interurban into the woods of Wembley. So all that stuff that's been there since the 1920s, trees have grown up, now trees have fallen down. Some of the people in Sherbrooke, to their own, they've been piling all their brush back in the interurban. Well, now you've got water that doesn't flow. It just sometimes goes until it meets past the least resistance, and sometimes it's right down to somebody's yard. So Carmela Shale sent a letter to the Woods of Wembley, did some negotiating with the Woods of Wembley, and last week a crew went through the interurban area and cleaned out a lot of that area, so the water will now stay in the swale that was originally there from the interurban 100 years ago. And I think we've solved the heck of a problem, but we'll see. But anyhow, she went out and got this done. We're going to recognize her. They had their annual Geauga Soil and Water dinner in October, and I'm going to mention it there. And then we also had some unsuccessful items to report. I'm stealing Bruce's thunder a little bit.
Go right ahead.
If you go by Gurney School, you see it looks terrible. The grass is all grown up. The grass actually touches the sign now. For many years, Gurney has been mowing the grass that's on the east side of the sidewalk. Well, that's Fox Run property. And the Gurney sign that says Gurney School is also on Fox Run. And they're not getting along. So Fox Run says we're just letting it grow back. Our ordinance says you have to mow your grass. And unbeknownst to us, a nice job, solicitor. We have been sending letters to residents for many years saying, you gotta mow your grass. If you don't do it, we're gonna do it for you, and you gotta pay the tax on it. We need a motion, and Ruth will do that under the building, but I want to kind of soften you up tonight that this is something we have to do. If we want to send a letter to the Fox Run HOA telling them to mow their grass, we've got to have council approval. So we'll do that in the building.
Can I make a comment about this?
Yes.
I was told that the school will be moving that sign.
They're coming to the planning commission.
This Thursday night, just to get the public hearing
Thursday night.
set, because it's a
We'll start
conditional
the
use permit.
Yes.
So They come Thursday night to planning commission just to get the public hearing set, which will be set probably at the next October meeting.
They're gonna move the sign, the road that leads from Bell to their school. They're gonna put it there.
I don't know.
No, well, that's what they told me that.
Well, right, but I mean, the public hearing hasn't actually been
Right.
set, but keep in mind, planning has to approve that, so.
It's too bad. The sign you can barely see because of all those AT&T boxes around it. Now, the weeds are up, they touch the bottom of the sign. All right, I'm done, 6 minutes. Fiscal officer, you're up.
I'm gonna try to beat you. No.
Good luck. I'm time.
I distributed my report to mayor and council. I don't know if there are any questions.
Yes. How long can this streak of setting records continue?
We keep our fingers crossed it keeps continuing. I mean, hopefully.
I like how you highlighted that it's a 6 this year.
You're trying to stall her, so she goes over 6.
Yes, I am.
And that would have jinxed it, right?
Yeah, I know. And then, as you may recall, before the September 22nd meeting at 5:30, we're having the budget work session. So I did go to the streets committee meeting and I got the stuff from the building committee, so I will distribute the worksheets as soon as I have them all together. And that's all I have.
Oh, 1 minute. Questions of the fiscal officer? Sure, finance committee.
Thank you, Mayor. This time I'd like to acknowledge the receipt review of the 9/8/25 credit card report.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thanks, Gary.
Okay, second round of checks has been signed and cross-checked for the month of August. As reported by our financial officer, fiscal officer, village budget work session scheduled for Monday, September 22nd at 5:30 PM here at the hall. Income tax collected in August amounted to $195,028, record high for the month of August. And our next finance committee meeting is scheduled for Friday, September 12th at 3:15 here at the village hall. That's all.
Just to let you know, I've written the date and I'll come to the meeting and then take off. Okay. Questions of the finance committee? Good morning. Solicitor, you're up.
So just wanted to do a quick refresher on the difference between suspending the rule for 3 readings for ordinances and resolutions and what it means to declare an emergency for ordinance and resolution. So as you know, all ordinances and resolutions must be read on 3 different days, 3 different occasions. You can suspend this rule by moving to suspend the rule for reading 3 times. That requires an affirmative vote of 3/4 of council members. What that means is that that the ordinance and resolution does not have to go through the 3 readings and can be adopted upon the first reading. With a vote, obviously. The difference between that and emergency is that each ordinance and resolution doesn't become effective until 30 days after it's passed. Just because you waive readings doesn't mean that it becomes effective the next day. It still takes 30 days. So when you declare an emergency, it means that it is passed immediately upon adoption of the ordinance or the resolution. So I just wanted to make sure you understand that. Now, you can never have an emergency motion without waiving the 3 readings. But you can waive the 3 readings and still not have an emergency motion and just have the ordinance and the resolution go into effect 30 days later. So I just wanted to keep that in mind. And the other thing, I don't know if everyone received Ruth's email this afternoon. I can answer those questions now if you want, or if you want me to do it in an email, I certainly can. I was seeking legal advice, so that is yours to decide.
I don't know if everybody was able to review that
Okay.
because I sent it out. Did everyone see the map? It looks like this, and I had written it was an alternative coming out of the school. If you haven't familiarized yourself with it, I think then we'll wait and
Okay.
do questions later because they need to look at it. It's a different way, and I'll just be very, very, less than a minute. I have an issue with the school board. Well, I guess I will ask you, Bridie.
Sure.
If you pull into Gurney and immediately left, is the only thing that the school board owns is the driveway until you see grass and the parking lot, get to the parking lot area. Why couldn't we start the path there? We would, of course, have to take somehow get this permission from the school board. And then you'd have to hopefully purchase some land from one of the homeowners, the one that has the most land there, and then go in, staying on the north side of Bell in front of one home as opposed to the 5 homes and a longer time on Bell. And it was a thought that I'd had, and I should have brought it up earlier, that's all. So, the only question I'll have is, can we ask the Board of Education for that?
Yes, I think you could do that either through an easement. You could, if they're at all willing to maybe take that part and maybe split it off and sell it to us, possibly, we are able to do that. And yes, we are able to do a combination proceedings.
Or long-term lease?
You could.
Okay.
But the condemnation proceedings, I will tell you, since obviously they're for public purpose, they're public education versus our public purpose, this will definitely go before a court. And the court will decide which public purposes actually has more priority. So.
Okay.
I know that we want to go eminent domain is my point.
Yeah.
I think that would be a tough one.
Well, they got that through eminent domain.
Sure, but that was a private property owner. I'm talking about when we have our public purpose
Yeah.
for the path versus the public
Different.
purpose for public education. I think that would be a tough.
I don't want court.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a thought.
Yep.
And if we're gonna chew over this, I do hope everybody can look at it tomorrow or very soon and just give me some feedback on it because it has to do with what we do with Verdantis. That's all.
Ruth, it's a good idea. Chew on everything.
Keep it.
Yeah, everything's still on the table.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for a solicitor?
Thank you, Brady.
Ask for.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you mentioned this.
Sorry. So the waiving of the reading, real quick, requires 3/4 of council, and then declaring the emergency is 2/3.
No, they're reading grievances.
Okay, I'll have to look at that because I thought the statute said something different.
She'll get clarification.
When we get to that point, I will give you, if it's gonna be 2/3 or 3/4, the waiving readings, I'll give you my usual thumb look and you'll just tell us what to do.
Sure.
Okay. Eric, you've earned your money and you haven't, now you're up.
Yes, sir, I'll keep it short this time. We have our road program pre-construction meeting with Specialized Construction scheduled for Thursday, September 11th. After that date, I will distribute out to Streets Committee what their anticipated start schedule looks like and construction sequence looks like, so we can get rolling with that. Also, it still looks like we are on track to have some construction activity starting by the end of the month on the salt storage building. So also very excited about that.
Eric, what's the first thing they're gonna do for this activity, you think?
Stake it out and just start clearing and stripping the construction limits. So that's the first thing you'll see. Okay. Is staking and some topsoil stockpiling. And we kind of have an understanding with the streets commissioner with worked out as to how we want to best utilize the topsoil that's stripped off of that site. And that's all I have, if there are any questions.
What time is that meeting on Thursday, Eric?
Let me look up on my calendar. Thursday, the meeting is at 1 p.m.
Okay, because there's public utilities later. I just wondered, I didn't want them to
Okay.
crisscross.
Any questions of the engineer? Should we be contacting the people that are gonna look at the back of the salt dome and talk about trees, or wait till the springtime to do that? What's your?
Oh, boy.
How about
Sooner the better.
Yeah, right. I would say the sooner the better, but let's not promise anything to anyone until the thing is built and we can see like what it is we're seeing. So yeah, sooner is always better in that, hey, this is something we're considering. We just want to let you know that, we also share this potential concern that you might have. But as far as saying, oh, we're gonna plant 16 trees here and here and here, well,
Please.
let's not put the cart before the horse.
If we do want something, I think we all want to make sure we don't have another
Tree issue.
long situation. We'll get it over with. All right, thank you, Eric. Street Commissioner, you're up.
So it's for my monthly report, and, the only thing I have to add to it is we did hook up the power from the pole with the chief, from the traffic box over to the flag, and the meter has been removed since, so.
Great.
That's been done also.
That saves us what, like $80 a month?
2 meters, so yeah, over 100.
That's awesome.
Questions of the Street Commissioner? I'm sorry, I should have brought this up. The dip out here, that when we cut across, should we fill that on Bell Road, just east of the intersection, that little hump, should we fill that temporarily? this fall?
We have it on, I think we have that in part of refigured for the street.
This year's road program, we have
Okay.
some repair area kind
Miscellaneous
of
repairs.
set aside for that.
Okay, Ruth, you're up. Street Committee.
Streets met on September 4th. And I may ask Tim to fill in some of these, or Eric. So, there's our 1 o'clock on, okay. Salt structure, late September, I heard that, Eric, and that's hopefully going forward. The 3 signs that say welcome to South Russell or something like that, I believe we're gonna have a motion to get those, or did we already? Pardon? Okay, we're gonna get those done. Jeff came back to full-time duty last week, and I think that's about it. I hope everybody reads with great interest my minutes that I sent out.
All right, on the agenda, we'll just go right down your 3 motions. Let's do the first one.
I move that we approve the construction progress payment application 1 for the salt storage facility design build project by CMG Contracting LLC in the amount of $59,892. So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. All right, Ruth, next one.
I move that we approve the 3 South Russell Village signs. So moved.
Second.
Wait, what was the dollar amount for that?
Dollar amount was $1,100 each. So $3,300.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. All right, Ruth, last one.
I move that we approve the purchase of 1 service department garage door. So moved.
And what is the amount of that one?
72,
$72.90, wasn't it?
yes.
So can you put no more than 7,300 or
Yeah,
7,500?
not to exceed 7,300.
Okay, been moved. We have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
So wait, so in the notes, it says something about glass.
Yes.
So is it with glass, without glass? What's the answer?
The 7,300 would be with a glass panel.
So we went into great discussion over this, and Dennis disagrees with me. I respect that. The fellas, in talking about this, since we first talked about, and I think it was when maybe some of you were on streets, just to replace the door with like. The workers would appreciate more light coming in. So what we can do is 1 replacement door now with glass. Yes, it won't match the rest for a while. And then next year, go out to get matching doors because they're all old and they need replacement.
Yeah, this, just another side note is this repair was already approved as emergency repair in the past, 2 months ago. In the last street committee meeting, it was brought up this, well, let's put in a panel with glass in it to get light in, and to Ruth's point, I took exception to it because I think having 1 door with 1 piece of glass in it and the rest being solid panels aesthetically doesn't match, but I guess part of the plan might be that we're replacing all the garage doors next year, or trying to budget for that.
And all the other doors would have glass or be
Yes,
alternating?
all match, glass, yes.
But
Is there any reason not to do all the doors?
Money,
Money?
for now, yeah.
probably do them in the spring, in the new budget.
Well, my concern is that, heaven forbid, that door isn't available.
So, Danielle and I talked about that, and because this is an emergency situation, is the door isn't working, that's why we're doing this way. And
Okay.
then I'm gathering 3 new updated quotes, current quotes for the rest of the doors.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. Ruth, any other questions of the street committee? Ruth, go on.
Actually, one question for the engineer, Mayor. It came up in our building department meeting, but it's a streets issue. The plans for the salt barn, have they been reviewed by the village building inspector?
No, they haven't been generated yet. That's what the pay app that you guys approved in the last series of motions. They're working on generating that plan set. So,
And will the building inspector for South Coast review these?
oh, absolutely. I will, and the building department will.
Okay, I don't know that there are any permits needed. I don't think so, but if there are.
They have to get permits, but they don't have to pay. We waive the
There's no
fees,
fee,
but
that's
they
right.
have to get the
Yeah, okay.
permits.
All right, so that would be the next step. is the plan. Okay, thank you.
All right, building committee, Ruth, you're up again.
Building committee also met last Thursday morning at 8 AM. I did not get those minutes submitted. Just basically, we have Dave Hosevar tell us updates, which is several things. Pool draining, I think we passed something for that because you gotta be respectful of your neighbors. Ruth Griswold has mentioned that the computer program that they have adopted is, they're having large problems with getting the usage out of that. And hopefully, they expect it to have a better training this week. I hope that happens. Let's see, Danielle, they submitted their budget amounts in the spring. Do you have those?
Yeah, I have them.
Okay, all right, thank you. There was a property on Maple Hill. It went to the prosecutor, and lo and behold, it has been cleaned up completely. It looks very nice. The new house site just west of 306 here, off of Bell on the south side, has issues about drainage. Dave Hosevar is handling that. There was, let's see, the industrial park got paved. It needs to be striped, yes. The people that have bought the steakhouse, which we used to know as Burntwood, are having some issues with not asking for their inspections and so on. So Dave is dealing with that. Ruth gets the immediate stuff over the phone, and she and Dave are trying to work it out with the new owner. The old records, we're sort of tired of talking about them. Ruth gives the people 2 deadlines, and if the work is somewhere between 3 and 5 years old and she's asked people to come get them and they don't, they're gonna go away. And let's see, I think that's about, other than the computer things, the permits are still being done what they called the old way. So there's some real frustration with this new computer program going on over there. And other than that's where the mayor stole my thunder, the mowing at Gurney, that was it. That's the building committee, and I will get real minutes typed up into you soon.
Questions of the building committee?
Ruth, did you want to add about the weeds and the 8-inch grass and all that and the ordinance? I can address it if you'd like.
Yeah, please do.
Basically, we have chapter 678 of the village ordinances, second part of it, 67802, notice to cut deals with how we inform the homeowner that his or her grass is too high. And it can be read that council has to vote to send this notice out. Okay? I've been on council 19 years. I don't think I've ever voted in favor of a notice to a resident that their grass is too high. So it occurs to me that perhaps the ordinance could be amended, that the second sentence of that ordinance could be, or that section of the ordinance could be amended to say that council, by and through its designee, comma, shall cause written notice to be served on the owner. Okay? And our designee would be the building inspector for the purpose of notifying the homeowner. And presuming that the solicitor is in agreement with that language, I would go ahead and make a, I guess it'd be an ordinance to amend the ordinance.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we get this to the solicitor, and then we can do it on September 22nd.
Sure.
So we all have it in writing.
You can still make the motion tonight, though,
It'd be like a
too.
first reading.
You could, or you can also, I mean, I read it the same way, that council shall cause, right? I mean, to me, that means that you guys could designate Dave to send out the letter. But
Well,
I understand what you're saying, but I'm just saying you could also make that motion tonight to move forward, since it's already, by the time September 22nd comes around, I don't know, we might have snow.
well, I think it's more time sensitive than that because of the dispute between Fox Run and Gurney School
Right.
with regard to the sign, and they're not mowing the grass. And it's coming to the point, correct me if I'm wrong, Ruth, that the village has noticed the grass is growing and may have exceeded 8 inches. Therefore, a notice needs to go out to the property owner, Fox Run. And before that notice goes out, I think the ordinance should be amended. So the question becomes, do we want to wait? Or can we do this in pieces, but start tonight, finish at our next meeting?
You could also waive 3 readings,
No, I'm
Well,
not.
does
unless you
everybody-
wanna see it first.
Well, what I'd like to know is, does council follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, Mark, can we do, let's do both.
Okay, I'm fine
Let's
with that.
amend the ordinance, but let's go ahead and designate, the
Dave Paulson.
building inspector to send out the notice.
I'll do the ordinance and then I'll do the motion.
Okay?
Okay. So I'd like to introduce an ordinance amending chapter 678 of the village ordinances, specifically 678.02, notice to cut, semicolon service, to amend, actually it's the first sentence of that section, in the part beginning council shall cause. I would like to amend it to read, council shall cause, comma, by and through its designee, comma, written notice to be served on the owner or person having charge of such land, that such weeds must be cut, and then it continues. And moved away further readings, declare an emergency. So moved.
Second.
Canton,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Galicki,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell,
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Canton,
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Galicki,
Aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell,
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
I further make a motion that the designee of village council under section 678.02 of the village ordinances be designated as the building inspector for the village of South Russell. So moved.
Second.
That'd be building zoning
I would say
inspector?
building and zoning, building and or zoning, right?
Okay,
In case then,
Because it's a zoning issue.
True. Well, actually,
Do both.
it's actually technically it's not in the zoning code.
Huh.
It's a property, it's a
Those
offense
are the
against.
building department.
Right,
Well-
or, you keep in mind, you've just said you're going to do through its designee, it can be anyone, it could be the police chief, it could be.
Oh, we don't need to go that far.
I'm just saying, it can be anyone that you designate, so maybe just at least for this property, maybe the motion should be specific for this property that you designate Dave Kosovar. to set up that caused the notice?
Well, I'd like to take care of this and never think of it again if
Yeah.
possible.
Mhm.
So if we say building inspector, so long as we have a building department and a building inspector, regardless of who that actual individual is, will be charged with doing this as we have been doing for many years.
Sure.
So we
All right,
got
where are
Any other discussion there, I think?
Did you have a second?
Yeah, I seconded
Okay,
it,
so
but
moved and seconded.
we were at building or building and zoning inspector.
I would leave it at building inspector for now, but
Yeah.
we can change it down the road if we need to, or want to.
Okay, so we're going to, we've now, with the new ordinance, we're authorizing Dave to send a letter to Fox Run HOA.
Or anyone else who might have
Okay,
grass in excess of 8 inches.
all right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion passes. Anything else for the building committee?
It's enough.
Chief, you're up.
Thanks. In addition to my monthly report, I wanted to announce that the Gov Deals auction was closed on Friday. We brought in $1,337 and we'll have some legislation later for a motion later to dispose of the remaining items that did not sell. And I'll bring this up in safety, but we are going to obtain some more quotes for additional tree trimming around our solar powered school zone flashers. So the little bit of work that we did didn't do the trick, so we gotta cut a little more off the top. So I've got 4 quotes. We'll bring it up in safety.
Questions to the chief?
Yes, chief, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
So we built this pedestrian path, 5 feet wide. We passed an ordinance, no vehicles on the path except for, let's say, a stroller and a wheelchair. You know darn well kids are gonna ride with bicycles on it, or adults. How's that policed?
Depends on what we wanna do. I mean, it's, it's gonna be up to you guys. If you want to, prohibit bicycles, then we enforce it.
Or you can pass an ordinance allowing those vehicles on it.
Correct.
Then you don't have to worry about it.
But I think you still have to be a little bit, I think we still need the information from ODOT.
Okay.
Because there is, those emails were very, there seemed to be a suggestion that the 5-foot path was no bicycles could be on the 5-foot path.
Okay.
And so, and that seemed to be tied to something from ODOT. And so I don't know if it's the funding, I don't know where it's coming from. I would like to, I think we need to nail that down. Did you have meetings at all with ODOT?
No,
Or no?
but not going until it can no one talk.
No, well, I mean, I think though that that's like where I think this is all getting kind of,
But,
And it's
Stop.
better to face to face.
and along those lines, Bridie, I know that in this meeting earlier, we kludged sidewalks and paths together. But the fact of the matter is, I think the Ohio Revised Code is very specific about requirements on sidewalks and requirements on paths. And never the twain shall meet. So we do have to have some granularity to this whole question.
And I believe we have some conflicting ordinances that we need to take a look at also.
we do.
Now, chief, didn't you place some boulders down by the crosswalk at the park? Because some people were driving their car
Yeah.
through there, so I get, hey, some fool might drive a car on that 5-foot path, who knows?
That's a little stretch. Any other thing for the chief?
But not a golf cart.
All right, safety committee.
Golf cart.
Safety committee, our next meeting is this Thursday, September 18th at 8 AM in the police department.
Next.
Next Thursday, sorry, I'm getting ahead of it.
Yeah, what time?
8 AM.
Thank you.
Pending any comments from Councilman Galicki?
None.
We've not done Simvay, we're not doing anything on Simvay tonight?
Yeah, it's in the ordinances.
Okay. Do we need to, all right. The HR committee.
HR committee, we submitted our minutes from our August meeting, and they're in your packet. And our next meeting is tomorrow morning in this room, 7:30 AM. Look forward to seeing most of you here.
Questions of the HR committee? Hearing none, property committee.
Property met this morning at 9 o'clock. So minutes will be available for the next council meeting. One of the things we did discuss was having a written document defining duties and responsibilities of the property committee and some changes that we want to consider, and we will submit those to council for their review within the next 30 days. Additionally, I'm suggesting that we consider adding a standing committee that I have titled Administration and Technology to deal with IT issues, all the technology that the village is involved in, as well as other issues like insurance and things like that that currently sort of fall to whoever's committee gets lucky. So I will write a proposal and submit that to council for your consideration to establish that. Subject to the comments of Councilman Galicki, that concludes the report.
None, sir.
Questions of the property committee? Park committee, you're up.
Park committee did meet, and you got the minutes. We are, I think, prepared for the fall festival. And we have our plans in place and we're ready to go. So.
Other than the rain dance, the anti-rain dance.
Yeah. And I think in your agenda, I think the item listed as park platforms is an error. So scratch that. And
We have a park platform that was never approved, so we ratified.
okay, is that why we, okay.
We have to ratify the approval.
But, okay, okay. There was a Boy Scout project that we have an observation platform that has been built and placed in the park up on the hill. The question of the solicitor is, we've never determined whether or not a building permit was required for that.
That's true.
So I think until we determine that, I don't know how council can ratify the placement of that until we get an opinion from the building inspector.
Okay.
Is it in compliance with code?
So I would table the discussion pending Dave Hosevar's opinion.
Okay. Has anyone reached out to Dave?
I'd be happy to do that tomorrow, and we'll get an opinion, and we'll have it for the next council meeting.
You know, Chris, for some reason, I thought part of the Boy Scout project submission was to have Dave look at the plan or something. Do you remember that here?
The Boy Scouts did not submit anything before council on that particular project.
Oh, I understood, but we're talking about the building inspector though, right?
Well, I'm unaware of whether or not he received any information or not, so I need to find out from him.
Okay.
And I have suggested to the Parks Committee that we put together a process for the building, for the Boy Scout projects, that they go through a certain procedure so that these things don't fall through the cracks.
I think that's good, but as I recall, part of the Boy Scout program is to check with the proper authorities when they do something like that, because that brings up the sign in Rarick Cemetery, right?
Yeah.
Did that go through planning commission, ARB, BCA, any of that? I don't know, okay, point well taken.
We need to clean that up, and I'm happy to undertake that. So that concludes the report.
Questions of the park committee? We're at Public Utilities Committee.
Thank you, Mayor. Public Utilities met back in August. The minutes were in your packets. Our next meeting is September 11th, 2025 at 4:15 PM. Is that still accurate, Terry? That's fine. Schedule? Okay, Mayor, you as well?
Yes, we'll be here.
Eric, will you be in attendance, do you think?
Public Utilities was when?
September 11th, Thursday, 4:15 PM.
Sure, I can do that.
We'd be looking for updates on the Fairview Hazelwood project and other items.
And I should have an update by then.
Yeah, good news.
Oh, yeah.
The reason I asked is one of the Russell trustees mentioned to me that we hadn't been in front of them in a while, and maybe it would be nice to have an update.
That was at 4:15?
Yeah, on Thursday.
Got it.
We, will have people here also from Sugar Bush about their silt pond, just make the heads up. Any questions of the public, is that concludes the public?
Well, we're gonna talk about the Scrimmon Valley Watershed Partnership deal as well, I think. Thursday. Yeah. Yes, I think that was one of your items there.
Yes.
And that also brings up the issue that about well, I'll do it under new business. It's fine, man. Nothing further on this. Jerry's got more to add.
Nothing there.
Questions of the Public Utilities Committee?
Yeah, real quick, at the Geauga County Fair, I went to the little house thing that Geauga Soil and Water had. They're wonderful display on stormwater runoff and different surfaces, farmed land versus unfarmed land, asphalt, et cetera, and had a great conversation with a representative from there. And just from my own knowledge, have we brought them into the conversation about pond sediment or anything?
I have called them other times and they seemed, they dismissed. So I don't, yeah.
I'm surprised. I had such a great conversation with the rep there. I'm surprised.
So maybe I missed something.
Yeah.
Okay, I do recall that with the gas line issue for Paw Paw, various residents contacted Geauga Soil and Water about that. And I don't recall them being pleased at the response they got.
Yeah, they took themselves out of it. GSW took themselves out of it.
May have been a jurisdictional thing, but.
May have been.
That's interesting, because when I contacted Bainbridge about this issue with Wembley and Sherbrooke, they said, we don't do anything called Geauga Soil and Water. And that's how we got Carmel Shale, and we got something done. So,
interesting.
It depends who you talk to.
Well, and it could also be township versus village, I don't know.
Yeah, that could have been the council and township too. Yeah. Anything else in the public utilities?
Well, Chris Bell, I encourage you to keep talking to him.
No, it was, next time you go to the fair, go to their display.
A busy girl.
We're going to start out with a long list of ordinances, resolutions. Mark's going first, Jerry's on deck. Dennis, I want you to go third. Here we go.
I'd like to introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance authorizing the mayor and fiscal officer to enter into an agreement with Thrasher Dinsmore and Dolan to act as the village's solicitor for the time period January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2027. And as a note, that is essentially a pay raise for the solicitor's office, $50 an hour from $225 to $275. For the purposes of providing legal guidance to the village, which she does exceptionally well. Move to waive further readings and declare an emergency.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Kalicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Kalicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Jerry, next one.
Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution accepting the amount of rates as determined by the Budget Commission, authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county auditor.
Need a second?
Second.
Roll
Did you
call.
move to waive readings?
You want to wait?
Motion to suspend further readings.
Okay. And
Second.
Thank you. Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Kalicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Kalicki.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Resolution passes. Dennis, can you do the next one?
I defer to the committee chair.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the secondary manufacturers combined subdivision participation and release form to allow the Village of South Russell to obtain benefits pursuant to the secondary manufacturer settlement and release all entities participation form on August 22nd, 2025, declaring an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Chris, you got the next two also.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the facility rental application for permit non-auditorium for the use of Gurney School parking lot for the 2025 Fall Festival to be submitted to Chagrin Falls Board of Education, authorizing the mayor to execute the application, declare an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Keep going.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the contract between Flower Entertainment, Inc. and the Village of South Russell for various services for the 2025 Fall Festival in an amount not to exceed $3,100 even, authorizing the mayor to execute the contract, declare an emergency, waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye, move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Ruth, this one's yours.
Introduce and consider for adoption an ordinance approving the agreement with Specialized Construction, Inc. to perform the 2025 Village Road Program in the amount of $324,748, ratifying the mayor's August 30th, 2025 execution of the agreement and declaring an emergency, and move to waive readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Chris Bell.
Introduce, consider for adoption an ordinance approving the agreement between Simbay Systems LLC and the Village of South Russell for information technology services for the village's police department in an amount not to exceed $4,600, authorizing the police chief to execute the agreement and declaring an emergency. Move to waive further readings.
Second.
Roll call.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Ordinance passes. Carried.
Introduce and consider for adoption a resolution authorizing the discard of salvage property not needed by the village and declare an emergency and suspend further readings.
Second.
Roll
Canton.
call.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
Canton.
Aye.
Kavanaugh.
Aye.
Licky.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
All right, we're at the bills list. Jared, keep going.
Motion to ratify the bills list of 8/15/2025 in the amount of $55,422.96.
Stop. Got to split them out, Jared.
Okay.
Okay, we have first,
Second.
second, discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Recused.
Motion passes. Then the next part.
And the bill of 8/30/2025 in the amount of $51,632.50.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Nice job, Jerry. We're new other.
Canton.
Nothing.
Kavanaugh.
Yeah, just a brief one. I am on the board of Chagrin Alumni, and coming up before our next meeting, I just want everybody to be aware that we haven't done this now for 3 years, enshrine a new athletic hall of fame. And that's been a lot of work. We have so many talented past graduates that are available. I actually have a classmate, Karen Skeel, who's going in, and that is That's an interesting subject because there was no Title IX when we were in school, and she has pursued, was the thing where I always forget this term. You swim, you run, and you bike. What's that called? Triathlete. She's won this in her age category multiple times. She's amazing. She and 4 other people are going to be going in at Chagrin Township Hall. If you're interested in going, tickets are $25. Thank you.
No other?
I do, I don't know if you get a chance to talk in new business. I just want to invite all council members.
I have them all except
Attention.
for yours and Ruth's.
So they're all placed, but she's asked that we make our selections and provide.
Is that it?
That's it.
Porter?
Yeah, I had a thing that I'd like to bring up with council specifically. It's regarding the Chagrin Falls Valley Volunteer Fire Department and their contract with the village. It was mentioned that perhaps we should look around for other services, and rather than have the rather lengthy process we had last time around before we actually just did the Chagrin, I'd like council to consider simply having a letter sent to the Russell Township trustees to ask them what they would charge the village for fire service and EMS service. And secondarily, what the response times estimated would be for Russell to get to the furthest home on Champion Lane and the furthest home on Daisy Lane, and to provide us with that information. We've been talking about dispatch, we've been talking about the volunteer fire department, and the cost increase that we're looking at for the next, 3 years, to the point where our budget for fire and EMS services will go from, correct me if I'm wrong, Chris, from $400,000 to approximately $800,000 in a period of about 3 years.
I concur with that thinking.
So I don't want to put Russell through a rigmarole like we did last time with an RFP, but I think a letter to the trustees from the mayor would probably accomplish the same result and give us some idea of what they might be able to do. So if council is inclined to do this, then I think a motion would be appropriate, but I'd like other people's views before I make that motion.
I have been talking to a number of people, our constituents, about this. Now, not 100, 200, 300, more like 15, 20, okay? And there seems to be a common thread. And the common thread is, man, 12, 12, and 12. That's ridiculous. But on the other hand, my neighbor's a fireman and he's a great guy and they've done good jobs for us, and we're used to them and they're like family. That seems to be what I'm getting.
It's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I think Mark's suggestion has validity.
Well, to me, it's, we're looking at a major increase.
Yes.
Almost
It's a huge
double.
bite out of our budget.
Yes.
We're a little village, we spend $3.5 to $4 million a year. A $400,000 increase, even over 3 years, is a major bite. And the questions in my mind, and this is nothing against the Valley Fire, the volunteer fire departments, they do excellent service, but at that kind of cost gives me pause. And quite frankly, after year 3, where does it end? Do we see additional increases?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we've never seen a year where we didn't have an increase. To sit here and say, in 3 years, they're going to come back with 3% or something nominal of that nature, just is an unreasonable expectation in my mind.
I'll take the letter and go to the next trustee.
Well, and I understand the feelings,
The loyalty.
the loyalty to the volunteer fire department.
It's not a volunteer fire department. It's the Chagrin Valley Fire Department.
I thought they were volunteers still.
No.
There are no volunteers? All right, Valley Fire Department. I appreciate the loyalty, and I understand that if we leave the group, the number goes from 6 communities to 5, and that increases the cost of the 5 communities that remain. But I think we owe it to our constituents to look into this possibility that we might get the same or similar service from providers literally just down the street. And I appreciate the loyalty to the 6-5 communities that we're with right now, but we also have to bear in mind our own.
There'd also be savings, what, 50,000, 60,000?
$60,000 to not have to use CDD as the dispatch service per year.
Okay, do you have a motion?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that the mayor be authorized to send a letter to the Russell Township trustees requesting a quote from them with regard to the provision of fire and EMS services by their fire EMS department for the calendar years 2026, 2027, 2028 per year. And also that there be an estimate provided by the township trustees as to the response times of their unit, whether it be fire, truck, or ambulance, to the furthest South Russell Village house on Champion Lane, and the furthest South Russell Village house on Daisy Lane from their fire station.
I think instead of Champion, we want Ashley to be a little further.
I thought Champion would be harder.
Oh, because you curve and back.
Because you go, you gotta turn right.
That's
It's about 601, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually easier to get in at Ashley because the entrance.
Champion and Daisy.
And to navigate that turn on Champion as well, so.
Right.
And then we compare apples to apples, because we've had that comparison done by Chagrin Valley Fire Department, as I recall.
And if we go further with this, I'm interested to know the ages of their vehicles. I'd also like to know how much money they invest in training, workshops, things of this nature.
I think those are follow-on questions. If
Right.
their first,
Yeah,
if
they
their
are.
answer
They are.
to the first question is $799,000, well, okay, there's the end of that discussion. But if it's more in line with what we've been hearing, but I want to see it right.
So I kind of in line with Jerry, that the feedback I received from residents are, charge me more. They'd rather stay Chagrin Valley. I think we should do our due diligence, because that's what they elected us to do. That being said, there are a lot of variables to consider. Community members, community relations with the Chagrin Falls. Community we're kind of seen as one is through the school district. There are a lot of variables in there.
There are. And there's a lot of unanswered questions at this point, but these are the top 3 in my mind.
Absolutely.
And the last time around, when we did the contract with the fire department, the big difference was response time. They were better, Chagrin Falls was better on the western side of the village. Russell was much better on the northern side of the village, so.
So one thing from an equipment standpoint, whether it's now or later, they're both facing the same issues with essentially a monopoly in the industry for new equipment and replacement parts. So those costs are going to be significant for either fire department, whether that's in our quote today or our quote 2 years from now.
Undoubtedly, but if they quote us for 3 years, that's what we expect to pay. Okay, and then after the, the middle of the second, towards the end of the third year, then we revisit the issue. But I understand loyalty, but I also understand finances. And $400,000 differential, 3 years is a big bite.
It's a big number.
So,
Do you need a second?
yes, I do.
Second.
Discussion. All those in favor say
Roll
aye.
call.
Canton,
This is for the letter, right?
Yeah, it's for the 11.
Aye.
Kavanaugh,
Aye.
Galicki,
Recuse.
Porter,
Aye.
Bell.
Aye.
Berger.
Aye.
Motion passes. We have a motion to adjourn at 9:00.
No, we're not there. Mark, did you have anything
I
else?
have nothing else.
Bell,
None.
Berger.
Okay, real quick, I submitted a draft letter to council suggesting that we send a letter out to our constituents and have a meeting concerning Chagrin Valley Fire Department, and I would suggest that we table that pending a response from Russell. And with that, I'm looking for.
I think we would have come with deadline too.
Oh, I have a question. So the mayor's, I'm sorry, the mayor, so that the fire department is having a meeting and suggested people go, are people going? Like, is the safety committee going to some open houses?
This open house, it's just the opening of the official opening. of the
So it's
fire
not
station.
regarding the renewal? or
No. Come see, take a look at the new stage. That's all.
And what's that date again?
I think you had a good point, though.
Because if you have a.
If you're going there and you need some advice, the people you need to talk to will be there.
So we would have
I
to
think
sunshine it.
sunshine it, definitely. Thursday, 6 to 7.
This Thursday?
Yes.
Thursday from 6 to 7, the fire department grand opening. So I think we should sunshine that, yeah.
Mayor, are you going?
Yes,
It's planning commission also. It's planning commission.
yes, I'll be back, yeah.
6 to 7.
6 to 7.
That's everybody.
Okay, we have a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Moved by Kavanaugh, second by Porter. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion to adjourn, 9:15. Chris, do we have